Associate Commander with the Youth Challenge of Central Oregon, to talk about her program. Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So first of all, just so I don't get in trouble, I'm actually the admissions counselor for Oregon Youth Challenge program. Our facility is located in Bend. However, we serve students from all 36 counties in the state of Oregon. So it doesn't matter where they live, but they will attend the program in Bend. Before I forget, during, after, whatever, there's some goodies up here. They're just free take-homes. In the folder, there's two sides. The stuff looks alike, but if you notice, the language is different. And this is basically information in case you think of someone that you can pass it on to that has a student that this could help. We are an accredited high school. A lot of people see that they have the National Guard on some of our things. We are not a military school, and we are not a boot camp. We are an accredited high school who uses quasi-military features for focus, scheduling, and structure. Our kids can come to us, and in 5.5 months, which they are there residentially, they can earn anywhere from 8 to 10 high school credits, which is pretty unheard of in the general education setting. Just to give you an idea of those numbers, the general education setting, most high schools in Oregon, the requirement for your high school diploma is 24 credits over 4 years. Do the math, 6 credits a year. They're coming to us for half a year and getting 8 to 10. And again, we are accredited, so everything carries over. The reason we're presenting to you guys today is because you kind of have your hands on the pulse of your community, and we're trying to reach as many kids as possible that we can help with this program. We have a 90% success rate. I attribute that to, you will hear people talk about the program and say, well, it's a 17-month program. Yes, it is, but the kids are not there for 17 months. They are on site for 5.5, it's 22 weeks. It's about 5.5 months. And then for the following year, once they graduate our program, we keep tabs on them. They select a mentor before coming to the program. We approve the mentor, background checks, etc. And then that person has 4 contacts or 4 hours every month with their mentee. They then report back to the case manager. That way we know what the kids are doing. If they're on task, great, we call and celebrate them. If they're not, then they're getting totally different kind of phone calls to get them back on track. Ideally, our goal is to get the kids back into the general education setting, caught up on credits, and able to graduate with their cohorts. We do not take kids that are straight A's, that are on task to graduate. It is not a program to come to for kids to graduate or get their diploma early. We are the program for those kids that kind of fall through the cracks sometimes, the kids that are behind in credits, that have given up hope of graduating with their class, kids that have dropped out or on the verge of dropping out. We do deal with some kids with behavior issues. We do deal with some kids, a lot of the juvenile justice systems throughout the state will work with us. If a kid is on probation, as long as it's not felonious, they will give them what's called a suspended probation, which I think is an amazing idea personally, because rather than the kid get in trouble and saying, okay, now go out there and check in once a week, and they're probably around the same people and getting in the same kind of trouble, they come to us. So their probation is suspended as long as they apply for, get accepted, and attend the program. We are an all or nothing program. What that means is you are there 22 weeks. If you leave halfway through, you don't get half the credits, you get nothing. And unfortunately, we have had kids break some of the bigger rules, and one young lady in particular, about 3 classes ago, got booted out on week 20. It was heartbreaking, because then they're even farther behind. But these kids learn so much more. We have 8 core components. It's not just about the academics, although if you know any teachers, they love this sentence more than anything. No electronics in our school. The kids do not bring cell phones, they do not bring tablets, they do not bring iPads, they do not, the little things that play music. I can't even keep up with all these gadgets that kids have nowadays, but they do not bring them with them. They are not allowed in our program. There's no smoking, vaping, obviously no drugs. We do tests for that. And there is no relationship building between, it is co-ed, but they're separated. So we do accept male and female students, but they are kept separately. Again, we are quasi-military, and what that looks like is they will follow a very stringent timeline schedule. They will also, if they get in trouble, their punishment is exercise. I can walk down the hall at any point in here, put your face on the floor. That means the kid's got to do some push-ups. We graduate kids from our program that are in the best physical condition of their life. And if they maintain it, they will stay in the best physical condition of their life. They get 3,500 calories a day, and they do 7 days a week, an hour and a half each time, what we call PT. Kind of just a little funny backstory. When I started working there about almost 4 years ago, they kept saying, well, they're at PT, and I'm thinking, God, all these kids need physical therapy? Like, that's a lot. And then I realized it's short-term for physical training. So they do mile runs, they sit-ups, push-ups, they have courses they have to do, they have an obstacle course, that's one of the things kids love. We have a state-of-the-art weight room. Most of them love the physical part. Just to give you an idea of numbers, we had a boy last class. We have 2 classes a year. And a boy last class, which would have been our winter class, he lost 103 pounds.
Wow.
In 5.5 months. And it was done very healthily. They're eating very healthy food. They get 3 meals a day plus a snack in the evening, but the snack is not, let me open mom's pantry and get a bag of Doritos. That's not happening. It's more like a fruit and milk is their snack. So most of them, except they're like 3,500 calories, sounds like a lot. They're still hungry. You know, they're growing boys and girls, and they're like, I want more food, because they're working it off. First 2 weeks is pretty brutal. We call it red stage. They are going to get yelled at, but it's not in your face. You won't feel somebody spit on you. We are completely hands off. It's not tolerated. If any of the staff that work there put their hands on a kid, they're getting fired. It's just not, there's no tolerance for that. Or the kids putting their hands on each other. We don't allow that. We lost 2 boys this class because of fighting. But they're told going in what those rules are and what is and is not allowed. This is like, the parents love this one. So for each child to be in a seat at our school, for one kid it's $26,000. The parents don't pay any of that. We are state and federally funded. The parents will pay for their supplies that they need to bring with them, which is basically school supplies, hygiene supplies, and underwear and socks. And that's it. We take care of everything else. They wear uniforms. All the boys have to have their head shaved down to a #1 buzz cut. The reason for all of this, that's the hardest sell. No cell phones and the boys cutting their hair off. Those are the 2 hardest sells with the kids. But the reason for that is the uniformity in our building causes minimal distraction. Our teachers they just teach. They're not breaking up fights. They're not trying to talk over kids talking or kids' phones going off or anything else. They just our teachers love working there because they get to teach. We have other staff we call cadre. Cadre are in the building 24/7. The kids are never left alone. And the cadre are in the classroom with the kids. So when those disruptions do come up, because it's going to happen, the cadre handle that. And it usually looks like, let's go out in the hall and put your face on the ground. The kids with some behavior issues end up probably the most fit out of anybody because they're going to do it. We don't pit the kids against each other. For example, 3, we call them CFTs. And what those are sit-ups, push-ups, and the mile run. They're competing against themselves. So for an example, one of my kids just told me that when they got there, their mile run took them 13 minutes, and they're down to like 9.25 after 7 weeks. It's huge. It's huge to transition into these kids. Once you do that, and you stimulate their minds, and you get them caught up to where they're feeling like they're being accomplished, and that they can do this, and they can pass, and they're going to be able to graduate and get their diploma, most of them come in their despair that that's not going to happen. We give them all of that, and then the physicality, that piece where they're in shape and they feel good about themselves, we have more confident kids than any other kid. I wish every high school in Oregon was run this way, because we put out some amazing kids. Yes, you're going to have the 1 or 2 that fall behind. I like to talk by examples. I was case manager before I became a recruiter. And I call them my boys, they're all my kids. That's why I work there. One of my boys I kind of noticed him sitting off. You probably have all dealt with a kid in one time or another in your lives where you don't know they're in the room. They're very quiet, antisocial, not in a negative way, they just don't know how to be social and present themselves to other people. Kind of caught him out of the corner of my eye. One of the other jobs I do there is I manage the anthem singers. We have a small chorus that sings the national anthem at graduation. The summer class will also sing at We get invited to the Bend Elks games to sing the national anthem. They're not ready yet, but we're going out, I want to say in a couple of weeks. We're going out to Salem to celebrate the flag, and we didn't start early enough to have the kids ready, but we are invited to different things. We also have a color guard if that's ever needed for any other organizations, and the kids are trained. They raise the flag every day, they lower the flag, they start classes. You guys started with saying the Pledge of Allegiance, which I think, personal opinion again, should be brought back into all the schools. So they're taught a lot. It's a lot more than just academics. Though academically, they are required to have an 80% in any of their work. That scares a lot of the kids, but we have the staff. As shorthand as we are, we have between the cadre and the teachers and some student helpers that get done their work early. We have the staff to help them and work with them individually. We do accept students that are on IEPs and 504s, for those not familiar. An IEP is an individual education plan. In the general education setting, if there is a child struggling, whether it be behavior issues, ADHD, any of those kind of things, or they're just like, say, math is a weak point. They're good at everything else. They need special instruction in math. That's what IEPs are about, 504s as well. And they help those kids so that they don't get lost in the mix and struggle in a certain area. So we can accept kids on IEPs. We do have the staff to meet their accommodations, specifically whatever they are. So again, 2 classes a year. There's a class there right now. They started mid-January and they're going to graduate June 14th. And then the second part of the year will start mid-July around the 12th or 13th, and they'll graduate mid-December. They do not have access to phones. This is the parent hard part for some of them. Some of them are pretty grateful the kid's going to be away for 5.5 months, to be honest. But their mode of communication, they learn a lot of stuff that's kind of fallen to the wayside. The art of writing a letter. That's how they communicate. They write letters every Sunday night or during the week. They do get personal business time in the evening, so they can write letters. Sunday they do get worship time, whatever that may look like for them. They do get the time to do that based on whatever their religion or belief is. Parents, in order for the parents to communicate, it is set up on our website. Parents go in, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends. You go in, put it in it's a form, put in the cadet's name, and then you type just like you were typing an email. And that goes to a printer that's designated just for the students. And one of our cadre staff collects all them at night and gives them out to the kids. And they read them on paper. They don't have access to sit on a computer and read them and then respond. They are issued tablets for schoolwork, but they are very limited what they can and cannot get into on those tablets. So I cannot say enough about this program. My one boy that I was speaking of kind of got lost through the cracks. Signed up to audition for singing, and I was like, okay. This kid had an amazing voice. It was unbelievable. So I kind of really took him under my wing and worked with him, and you got to find their individual niche, if you will. And that's what really brought him out of his social awkwardness and shyness. And we worked, and first it was singing in front of me, then it was singing in front of other students, and it just grew and grew and grew. He is now in the Navy, working on becoming a Navy corpsman. And he graduated top of his medical class and got to choose where he wants to be. And he is doing amazing work and leading some groups and everything else. And he lives happily in Okinawa, Japan. His dad called me crying, which I'm a sissy. Especially if a man cries, I'm done. But his dad calling me crying and thanking me. That's the reward of what I do. If any of you work for the government, we're not paid millions. I don't expect to be a millionaire. But what they're doing for these kids works. I've seen it, I've lived it, it works. And the reason we're coming to Kiwanis and different organizations as such is so that you guys can help us help more kids. You guys, again, are the pulse of your community. A lot of you, from what I was sitting and listening to, are involved in other organizations or other causes. And first of all, we can come to you if you need help. Trying to remember, one of the gentlemen approached me about the kids years ago, and they were out at the fairgrounds helping set up and do different things. We do that. we make them learn the value of service to community. So we clean Smith Rock Park, we go down to Lapine State Park, we're out at the fairgrounds a lot for different functions. So if any of your organizations, Kiwanis included, need kids for something like that, colors, national anthem singing, my card's on the table, reach out to me and I'll get you with the right person, we'll get you set up. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say thank you. You guys come out to Ronald McDonald House once a month with a crew, and they help with landscaping, cleanup, all that. And it is one of the favorite days for my staff to see all the kids out there.
Is it Oregon Youth Challenge that does that?
Uh-huh. Yep.
That was one I didn't know about, so
Yep,
there you
they've
go.
been doing it for months, and I've been working with them for years, even when I was with American Cancer Society. And I don't know if I should say oddly enough, but surprisingly enough, they're probably the most polite group of teenagers
Yes, ma'am.
I have ever met. And when they come to Ronald McDonald House, since it's always a different group, we always talk to them about Ronald McDonald House, who we are, what we do. We ask if they have any questions. And they ask better questions and have better observations than most adults I give a tour. So
Thank you for mentioning that.
They do
And I can
amazing
tell
job.
you, with these kids, that's the other thing. Like, they learn focus. They learn respect, which is, I'm sure most of you would agree, is we lost that long ago with a lot of our young people. In our building in particular, in our facility on site, they do not answer with a yes, no, We don't get any of that. It is yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am. And they actually have to say it before and after. Ma'am, yes ma'am, sir, no sir. Where again, they're going to be getting some exercise in it. It is a stringent program. The first 2 weeks, like I said, are brutal. They're getting yelled at. The first 2 weeks is focused on learning our rules, learning who's in charge, learning what they can't get away with. And we always tell them every year, every class, everybody's tried everything. There's nothing left. Don't try it. Everybody's tried everything. But you still have those few that are going to try and push the envelope a little bit. Remarkably, I have kids from 2.5, 3 years ago that still stay in touch with me. Hey, Miss Witty, just want to let you know this is how I'm doing. Or if I hear something that, hey, I saw so-and-so, he's hanging with the old crowd. Oh, no, he's not, and I'm on the phone. The cadre will talk to them. They get a TAC, which is a specifically assigned cadre. And if a company commander, we go down the line. We do not let them leave easily. As you would probably aware with most teenagers, they think they know what's best, and we know they don't. So we have some buy-ins for them. They wear uniforms, like I said, with the military. They work to earn ribbons. They are separated into what are called platoons. They sleep in a bay. Their cafeteria is called a DFAC, which is dining facility. Any of you associated with military, other than having family members, I was not. So I had to learn a whole new language. And they have different hand signs, rather than yelling at in class, I need to go to the bathroom, or getting up and walking out. And then they have to wait for someone in charge to say, go ahead. If they ask you a question, if you came in as a guest speaker or something and they wanted to ask a question, they have to stand up and say, if it was me they were addressing, they say, ma'am, Cadet Smith asking permission to speak, ma'am. And you say yes, and then that's when they ask the questions. It's very regimented, but it works. They leave there, like I said, with a whole new mindset. Parents are calling us and going, I don't know what you did with my kid, but I like the one you sent home. They do get to see their parents during the 5.5 months. They get 2 breaks and a visitation. What that looks like, break, they actually go home for 4 or 5 days. Parents come, pick them up, sign them out, and then they come back. Visitation, which we just had Saturday for the female platoon. Parents come out, they talk to the teachers, kind of like teacher conference, and they talk to their platoon leaders and find out, oh, Sally's doing great in school, she's struggling with this or that. Same with their behavior issues. Oh, she's been great, she's listening. The parents are like, I said my last name is Smith. Are you looking at the right kid? And then they get to take them off site for the day, and they bring them back at like 6 at night. So they get 2 of the breaks where they go home. Usually they're around holidays, and then they get the 1 visitation. If there's something drastic going on, we will put them on the phone with their parents. Usually we will call and front load the parents. He's going to say he wants to come home, tell him no. Tell him whatever you need to tell him. Your car broke down, Aunt Susie's sick, I can't leave her. Whatever you need to tell him no. Because within a week or 2 we get them turned around. And Most of them are grateful. They leave and we'll get phone calls within the first week after they're home saying, I woke up at 6, I don't know what to do. I'm like, go run. Do something. Do push-ups. I don't know, go run. Yes, sir.
So what is the age span of the students there? Are you an ending program where everybody graduates, or they attend for a certain number of weeks and then go back into the school system they may have been a part of before?
Great question. Eligibility-wise, a child we do 15 and a half to 18. And the reason we say 15 and a half is for us to accept a 15-year-old, they have to turn 16 before they finish the program. And every kid will be in the program 22 weeks. Again, it's an all-or-nothing program. And then they can graduate from us and get their high school diploma, depending where they are in their credit deficiency. 18 is the higher age end. They can start when they're 18. They can turn 19 the next day, but they have to be 18 when they start. They can't be any older than that. I'm trying to change that because you have super seniors who are more at the 19 age range that we could be helping a lot. So that's just one of my kind of things that I'm pushing for. But they also have to be credit deficient. If they're on task to graduate on time, we don't accept them into the program. Yes, sir.
So what's your feeder program like from other schools around here? Like how do you have a waiting list?
So
If not, you probably need one.
we're going to need one. COVID, like every place else, hurt us.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kids that are still trying the online thing, and it just doesn't work for all the kids. It will work for some, but if the kids that it works for don't need our program from the beginning. That's the way, the kids that are focused enough and mature enough to handle an online program and being responsible and being able to set their time aside and make their time a priority. They're usually the kids that we wouldn't need in our program anyway. So we get a lot of kids. I'd love to see more from Redmond. I wasn't seeing numbers from Madras. I was up there a couple of weeks ago and met with all their schools and their ESD. It's funny because we go all over the place, and our highest numbers are probably Portland, Beaverton, and Salem, and Hillsborough. And I realized when I came into this job, nothing negative about anybody that did it prior, but I'm like, I worked for Benton Pine School District for 13 years. I know there's a lot of kids that could use this program. And I worked for the most severe emotionally and behavioral challenged kids in the whole district. So I know there's a lot of kids that could use this program that need that structure. So we do reach out to the schools. We do what's called orientations. The paper that's in your folder, first of all, just to have it make sense, this side is Spanish. So if there's somebody that wants information in Spanish, this is the same information but in English. On these pages that look like a screenshot of something, that's exactly what it is. So either Spanish or English, this QR code will lead you to our presentation that we give out when we do orientations. An example of that is tonight, I'll be working late. We are doing a virtual orientation. Parent and child must attend. Parent and child attends the orientation. That's the first part of the application process. And that's what we look at and can say, okay, you're not age eligible, but we'll hold on to your paperwork for this class is when you'll be eligible, those kind of things. So eligibility-wise is age 15 and a half to 18 and deficient in credits. And then I think I answered your question.
Yeah, just I guess how many folks are in the program right now?
Okay, so right now we're going to graduate 127 kids. We started with 160. This is the biggest dropout we've ever had, where kids quit or didn't make it. And what we realized was, and I'm a parent, so I'm not trying to offend any parents. The parents are the hard part. The parents are the hard part. Getting them to do the buy-in and say, leave your kid with us. The other issue we realized is, so the kid's writing a letter home. You're right, pardon me, I'm going to use you as an example. So your daughter, let's say, you get a letter, Mom, I hate this place, they're not feeding me, the beds are too hard, I'm getting yelled at all the time, kids are hitting on me, blah, blah, blah. What's your reaction? Go save my daughter. As most parents, that would be their reaction. Oh, I got to look into this and save my kid. Well, by the time they get that letter, it's been 2 or 3 weeks. Your kid's already back in class doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And we had quite a few parents show up for that reason, especially within the first couple of weeks, because your kids get really homesick. And it's a legit thing. So,
hello, mother. Hello, father.
Right.
Camp Granada.
Exactly. So we've had to really push hard on our orientations to say, if you have a question when you get those letters and you're worried about little Johnny or Susie or whoever, please call your platoon leader. That's their job.
But they know that before the kid ever gets there. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, they sit down and
They are told that, but it's now like I kind of got to hang there for a minute and push it with them, like remember, and then I'll mention it again at the end. So we're hoping that'll improve some as well. Yes, ma'am.
Are all the referrals from parents or any like court diversion programs or come from a court system?
Okay, good question. Anybody can refer a kid. The kid has to want to go though. It is a voluntary program. We can't take them kicking and screaming. Our experience has been they're not going to stay.
so do you get something for it?
What we do is we work with a lot of the justice systems, and so again, her daughter got in trouble and is on probation. It cannot be a felony. We cannot take kids with felonies because safety is our first priority for the students and staff. But she's on probation, slap on the wrist and she's on probation. Mom approaches the PO and says, hey, this program's available. Rather than my kids staying out on the streets, hanging with the kids, blah, 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 I'd rather them do this for the next 5.5 months. It's going to keep them away from the elements they were, the environment they were in. The parole officer or probation officer can say, I'm going to do what's called a diversion. We're going to divert your your probation. You got to apply for, accept, and get into this school, and you've got to complete the 22 weeks. And then they'll wipe away the rest of their probation, usually. Yes, sir.
Ma'am,
Thank you, sir.
request permission to speak.
Yes, sir.
A couple of thoughts. You get kids that have started high school, then drop out. You get kids that are homeless,
Yes,
don't have a bed of their own.
absolutely. We work, since I've been in recruiting, I have been reaching out, and I don't just reach out to the schools, I reach out to the districts, because I'm working right now, a lot of the schools have this program, and it's like a really silly name, I can't remember it. It's like Duck Soup or something dumb. But anyway, what it would do is give me access to go in and post things on the school's website, or the district's website, where I can get this information out. But I am in contact not only with the school counselors, we get a lot of referrals from. Not only in contact with those, but I'm also reaching out to the FAN Advocate, Family Access Network, and also to the McKinney-Vento person, which is, they cover your homeless students. Homeless liaison, graduation coaches, I'm hitting everybody. And that's another reason I go district, so I can get, the more people that know, the better. I have been running some statistics. When you go in to sign up for an orientation, you fill out this paperwork. One of the questions we ask is, how did you hear about our program? Our largest networking is parents, family, and friends. That's what gets the biggest response, second to counselors. Second to high school kids.
What's your capacity again for a class?
We can, fully staffed, we have 4 platoons, each holds 60, so we can house up to 240.
Okay.
But again, we're trying to build back numbers because we lost a lot during COVID, like everybody. A lot of kids dropped out of school, surprisingly, during COVID. Yes, sir.
So are you part of state government?
My paycheck is signed Oregon Military Department.
Yeah, what is that?
The Oregon Military Department.
Yeah.
National Guard is the umbrella we fall under.
Yeah.
So the military department, which oversees all the different departments and branches of the military, that's who signs my paycheck. But we are 75% state funded and 25% federally funded. So if they pull the plug, we're kind of messing up a lot of kids. Yes, sir.
Would you say a little more about what becomes of the students after they complete your program?
Sure.
Let's say they graduate from high school, then what?
Okay. 3 things usually happen with our kids. When they're done our program, they go back to their general education setting, finish their high school career, and get their diploma. If they are so far behind that even being a super senior isn't going to help them get their credits, then they do have the option of studying for, which they would get help with, and taking the GED. The third option is, which is, I would say when we graduate, say 130, maybe 10, and I don't even know if that's a valid number, kids can actually get their high school diploma from us. So the majority of them are going to go back to their general education high school setting. The rest are going to get jobs or go to college. That's another real just quick little side note there. OICP, once you've been to our program, you're locked in as a family member. And no matter how many years down the road it is, you can go on our website and apply for scholarships. It made me think of it when you guys were talking about the scholarship thing. It's so fun to be able to tell a kid, hey, you're getting a scholarship. So they can, I would say, out of the whole 100, say it's 130, I would say 5 end up joining the military, which is a big misconception about our program. I have mom call and I don't want Johnny to go in the, that's not what we're about. We're not going to push him to do that. We do have career day. Again, something else, if you guys, any businesses or anything, hit my card up and I'll put you in touch with the right person. They do talk to military people, but they also talk, like we had a lady there from Chick-fil-A, talking to them. And then we had somebody from Fagan's Beauty School. And then we had engineers, we had the fire department, police department, wide gamut. So these kids are getting there. Every student, when they finish our program, they will leave with their first aid CPR card. They will leave with their food handler's card, because most of our young people, while they're in school, are working fast food. And then they will also leave there with their initial resume. And they will have left there having worked on applications to know how to fill out an application. So they're learning life skills in addition. So most of them go on to go to college or higher education of some sort or get jobs. And we help with all that. Part of their schooling in the evening, each platoon on a separate night has what's called CAP, and it stands for Cadet Action Plan. And that's where we work with them on what attainable goals look like, and we make them set goals. They have short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So it's anywhere from right when you get out of here, what are you doing? A year from now, what do you see yourself doing? 5 years from now, what do you see you're doing? And all that information is shared with their mentors, who I mentioned earlier, and they help us try to keep the kids on track and reach those goals. It's not saying they can't change, but yes, sir.
You track all these kids? You said 5
Yes, sir.
out of 160 go in the military.
Yeah, we track them all.
Try to view where they are 10 years from now?
Not 10 years from now. We track them for a full year, but a lot of those relationships are sustained.
Okay.
So they do, like I said, I have the one boy I was talking about, he was there 3 classes ago, and he reaches out to me, and
Okay.
I write him letters, and we're still in touch. So, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say this is one of the most impactful presentations I remember hearing. You're doing wonderful things in the community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel very blessed to work for everyone. Thank you. Thank you guys for your time. And goodies on the table, including my card. It'll still say case manager, but that extension will ring to my new extension. It's 223 if anybody wants to try to remember it. I'm going to leave this stuff here. Please feel free to share it with other people. I'm going to leave the folders, so information if you know somebody, family, friend, community members. We appreciate your help in getting the word out there. And again, if we can be, or our kids can be any service to any of your groups or organizations, please let us know. My cards are right there on the table. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a little pen just to say thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's pretty amazing.
That's how I